everybody. Welcome to the latest Halloween episode of Talkin' CRM, where we are here to talk about all things customer relationships and all the different ways you can think about customer relationships. I'm going to turn things over to my co-host, Colin Brogan, to go ahead and introduce our awesome guest today. Colin, who's joining us?
Today we have one of my favorite people and one of my go-to people for CRM, analytics enablement, and technology enablement. Please welcome to the show, Karrie Sullivan, Principal of Culminate Strategy.
Thanks, Colin. Thanks, Megan.
So it's a pleasure to have you here, Karrie. I think what our audience wants to hear about is CRM enablement. And typically when we talk about this, we're speaking about the big companies out there. So Amazon can do personalization at scale in CRM. But what about manufacturers? That are going direct to consumer? And what about more mid-market companies?
Starting slow is a smart thing to do. We will sometimes start with Shopify, with a Squarespace, with a basic e-commerce capabilities, and pair that with other smaller technologies like MailChimp or HubSpot or other things that integrate nicely with them. But then as they start to become more sophisticated in how they market digitally, especially as we start to think about social media marketing and targeting, ultimately what you're trying to do is take that consumer data, find your best customers, and model it against new audiences so that you can really cost effectively target the people that are going to bring in the most money and the most EBITDA for the organization.
What would you say would be what's the pattern out there? Is it a gold rush now, or is it sort of a rush of necessity to enable yourself for CRM and personalization?
It's a bit of both from what I've seen. I've seen a number of organizations just already realize over the last few years that they need to start to diversify their channels. The ones that have been on top of it are doing pretty well. They've already kind of enabled themselves. And then this year, their goal is to start to bring that cost of acquisition down from a customer perspective. And that requires a bit more modeling and a bit more data and analytical decision science capabilities that a lot of organizations don't have. The ones that are just starting out in more of the gold rush approach to things are trying to figure out what channels they actually do go after. Do I look at headless solutions that allow me to pump my inventory into Amazon or Google Commerce or Instagram? Do I build my own website and sell straight out of there? And how do I help my customer service team get up to speed?
Well, you just brought up an important word, I think, Karrie, and that's diversity. And you're talking about sort of diversity of technologies, diversity of routes to market. But I think there's another kind of diversity that's near and dear to your heart that I would love for you to comment on a little bit. And your Rosie the Riveter costume is perfect, right? In the days of Rosie, that was a pretty big change to have women coming into manufacturing floors, to have a very different kind of employee to work with, and at the same time, probably not different managers trying to work with them. What are a couple of things you think we can just do kind of on an everyday basis to support diversity in the workplace, and most importantly, diversity of thought on our teams?
Sure. So a little bit of a shameless self-plug here on this one. So I started a nonprofit earlier this year called the Upscale Foundation. And its goal is to help women and people of color who want to pursue careers in data and decision science. And what we're doing is helping them with tools, with training and certification, and with real live examples and projects, so that ultimately, once we're ready to connect them to jobs, we're able to do that. So one of my recommendations would be to start to partner, find organizations like the Upskill Foundation, where you can partner and on a project by project basis, throw some data over the wall to the folks that we're trying to train, give them a data problem to solve, and let's go solve it together, so that you can start to see the different types of the cognitive diversity that different groups can bring.
Tell us more about the Upscale Foundation. Do you have any folks in the pipeline now?
Yes. So the first approach, or the pilot, is with an amazing woman out of Houston, Texas. She's actually a 20+ year mechanical and chemical engineer. And because she already has a STEM background and she already knows the math, we're just providing her with different tools and a different perspective on how to analyze data and do it in a much more efficient, effective way. So that rather than stringing together 20, 50, 75 spreadsheets, she's usually using more consolidated tools, big industrial sized data sets, and doing a great job of quickly getting through data cleansing as well as visualization and other insights into your data, not just on history, but thinking through the ability to bring data into processes in real time. So what this would look like from a marketing perspective, we're also working on a recruitment cohort for marketing or digital marketers, where we would bring digital marketers into the program, work with them on CRM data, social media data, et cetera, and help them start to think about things like clustering. How do you create segments, not just based on demographics, but based on what people are actually saying online? How do you start to target people based on what they're actually interested in and the groups that they start to talk to? So those are some things that we have done in the past from a marketing perspective, and we love to teach people how to do that.
Karrie, let me ask, what's your observation about when you recruit people from different backgrounds onto a team? What are some of the things that you tend to get that tend to come to the table when you get different kinds of thinkers on the same team? What are some of the things you've seen happen?
Well, as data people, you guys see it as much as anyone else, that as we continue forward with modern architectures and modern technologies and modern data, what we're going to see is a breakdown of silos inside a lot of these organizations. And silos happen whether the company is large or small or enterprise sized. They just do, and they have in the past. But as we start to combine different data sets from across the organization, we'll start to see those silos come down. And one of the things we do at Culminate Strategy Group is recruit people from across different functions, obviously a diverse set of people because it's important to us. And we start to throw different problems at them from a strategy, a product, or a technology perspective. And really what we're doing is getting them to focus on the customer and take kind of a design thinking plus big data science approach to design and solution strategies.
Well,
it works really well.
Well, and I think one of the big things it does, right, is it probably helps customer relationships too, right? Because if you've got different people looking at that information from different points of view, they're going to understand those data points differently. And that will get translated into more powerful, more honest kind of customer relationships down the road.
That's absolutely right. And the more that you can customize your operations, from across the operation, so that you can help your customer facing folks inside the company deliver a truly custom, truly personalized solution for the person on the other end of the phone or on the other end of the Zoom, the better off everybody's going to be.
Karrie, I have one last devilish question.
Only if you add the smoke machine. I love it.
In this season of Halloween, tell me, what is your favorite Halloween movie and why?
Ooh, it's got to be Karrie for obvious reasons.
Good enough.
All right. Well, first of all, Karrie, thank you very, very much. Not to be confused with Karrie of Scary Movie fame. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I don't know, there's the Devil Wore Prada. I guess it's Colin wore the devil suit is where we're at today. But thank you very, very much for joining us, everybody. And that's another episode of Talkin' CRM. See you next time.